Hey everyone, Strange103 here today with yet another replay cast. We're looking at Michauorin playing in a Zhao on North Domination rank. So this is a spoiler alert rank 5 to 10 bracket. So the shader bracket basically. Here in a Zhao with full premium consumables on the 075 major patch. Now we can see we're running range upgrade, a pretty typical upgrade to run on the Senjo. Looking at the team lists, we get a Des Moines, they get a Des Moines, and both teams get a Sao as well. So equal lineup there as well on the cruisers and the battleships. Monty, Yama, Gearing, Shimmy, with them getting a Z instead of a Gearing. Looks like our Des Moines is saying that he's going to park next to C, the pretty standard radar position, and it looks like we're going to go the long-term line, long C counter. So the question is if we can actually get ourselves a Gearing with us or something to go long C. This is the only real safe way to get the Charlie cap if there is a radar cruiser in play. So this move over here is definitely not a bad thing. If this Gearing wants to go into the cap here, it looks like he's not turning, which is good. You don't want to go into there, that's really, really bad. But, you know, in a case with a Z52 and whatnot, you do want to be able to secure the back end of these areas because it really, really, really is the only real safe way to obtain the cap. So we're basically saying we're going to check the 10 line, check 9-10 line to it's clear to fire an E7. Basically, the way to shoot the Des Moines capping over there is to park yourself over the radar Des Moines there, especially just head in this way. You can shoot over the islands over here. Looks like our Des Moines is acknowledging that, and it looks like our Gearing is slowing down here, likely to wait another 20 odd seconds to launch torpedoes in this general direction, or into a smoke blanket over there. It has to be a destroyer because none of their cruisers have available, smoke. What we could have done here is just double M to see if we can actually, ascertain the size of the smoke screen to perhaps give us an indication of whether it's a Gearing, Shimmy, or Z, because the smoke deployment is rather quite different. Now, Des Moines being RPF, which I suppose is fair, it reduces the probability of them knowing that we're coming. I would not open fire unless it's the Des Moines. Shooting at a survivability expert Montana in the back really isn't necessarily the best use of our resources. Like currently, we're not actually really being supported, and I would not recommend opening fire here. And there we go, we do get spotted. There is a guy over there, so we are actually just in radar range if they creep it up. But we can see the smoke screen circles here and here, meaning that the guy's actually not there. And if he would be, the Des Moines would fully be able to do something about that. And there you go. We're not actually... Our Gearing, really, I don't know what he's trying to do. He realistically should have been joining us here. He would have been in a much better position, but then again, he doesn't seem to be having too smart of a time frame, too smart of a thought process regarding that. So he's basically just sitting there being absolutely useless. And there we go, we do get a spot on the enemy Z. He's not the one capping, and our Gearing, who smokes up there, he should be out of radar range without the Des Moines, so he could actually blink the enemy Gearing inside the cap and just get rid of him. This F-52 obviously would know that we are approaching here. And most of the teams would have been spotted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're just missing the enemy Zhao. So he could be behind here, considering this guy's going here and feeling comfortable going in here. And again, if we hadn't revealed ourselves, there's no RPF marker, he wouldn't actually have known we're here. We do get to catch the enemy Zhao, and that is, in fact, his anti-aircraft that catches... no, it says AA, but there we go, 9-7 surface, we're now spotted. He decides to launch a plane. But it doesn't matter, unfortunately, they now know we're here, which means that we can't really actually counter the Z-52. So, well, I mean, he's trying to push into the island while under the influence of radar. So that's not necessarily the best for his long-term survivability. But, he might not necessarily bleed too much because of the fact that this Des Moines radar is going to expire very soon, and there we go, the radar does expire. Now decides to poke corner, and, well, in a bow on kite situation, we will win, because just that's how kiting works. Plus, that Zhao could potentially be shot at by the Des Moines across the gap, and there we go, we do have incoming AP from the Des Moines, so that might pressure him into moving up. He shoots AP and jams on number 1 turret, it's not a big deal at all, because we're never really going to be exposing ourselves in a way where we're reliably able to use our number 1 gun turret for any prolonged period of time. Anyways, looks like we're baiting him into shooting AP at us. Like, that's just silly. We're never going to show him flat broadside. It's just not going to happen. Unfortunately, we do need to be aware of the order. And there you go, he's doing 2k damage per AP salvo. Sure, it's pressuring our heel, but, so will HE and whatnot. Now, he is healing back. and well, we haven't used any heal yet, and he completely misses us at 8.5 kilometer range. Our gearing has committed suicide because let's sail in here against a Z2 Hydro, later on, potential Des Moines radar, and a gearing there, so that's a really amazing move by him. We're winning against this out without any major problem. I definitely would have considered just, sticking around or something. We do need to be careful because, we are shootable by that group over there, and there we go, we have incoming shells from them. But an option would have been just to, completely stay hidden and to stop shooting, just so that we can get ourselves in a position where these guys are no longer able to engage us. This SAO is still deciding that AP is the best ammo to use at us, and the battleships at the back aren't really having a good time with trying to shoot us. They can't really hit us anymore. And we go complete flat broadside, but he wouldn't really have full gun turrets. As we can see, the 3 and 4 are facing the wrong way, so if we wanted to, we could have hard intern, and we actually debate him into shooting HE at us now. So he does a 4K salvo, could have been much worse. But now we do need to be careful because our Hydro is off, and if we're going to push into him, we could definitely be finding ourselves getting Hydroed. Also, if we were paying attention to the map, we would have noticed that the Montana could potentially be joining in on the fun. But if we are able to kill this SAO off, that definitely would be good, but we need to make sure we don't spend too long doing this, because that Monty looks like he was indeed looking for an engagement. If we can get ourselves a couple of good salvos off and get some fires on him, and I definitely would trigger the heal. Now, we're still going to be in combat with this guy for a while more, but, with decent turrets, turret loading times and whatnot, it might not necessarily be that easy. There we go, we get one more fire, which means he definitely ain't going to go to the heal, even if he slowed down, so we could potentially consider slowing down here, or, something like that. And definitely would have used that heal earlier. He's using his heal right now, we're still being engaged by AP, so we can't really maintain a good angle against him. We need to be careful, we're getting way too close to the Montana right now, so it's eventually going to limit our options to the point where we're just going to be forced to rush him. I would hold fire after this salvo, that's going to be a Zao kill, I wouldn't even shoot anymore, and there we go, we get the kill. We are getting really, really close to that enemy Montana right now, and there we go. We're using a Hydro, I definitely would have used that heal, even if we're not at full efficiency. So now, either we push into the capture circle and, well, probably get screwed by a Yamato, or we have to go deal with the Montana. Personally, I think that just turning away could have been one of the better options to take, and there we go, we finally spot the F3s going into the middle of absolutely nowhere. And there we go, we do spot the Montana, and he's in our face, so at this point, just trigger the heal, end in the head, get to the island, we have nowhere else to go, we really can't do anything about this. So, well, there you go, using the heal, a little bit on the later end, again, he's going to shoot us, we need time to get the initial part of the heal off. I actually would have tried to angle out a little bit more, just so we can reach the island. But at this point, I suppose the best thing we really can do is just try to make a run for the island, or either that or just hard rush him, because due to the fact that we basically didn't just sail at like a 35-degree angle and hope he didn't know how to shoot us, and just angle in on a belt slightly when he fully salvos us, at this point we have absolutely no option but to fully commit. And after the next salvo, I would definitely load into armor piercing. It is possible for us at point blank range to Citadel him, and the Montana's his aim ain't completely horrible. He does actually have half a clue on how to shoot us. But he's basically just salvoed right now, so if we wanted to, we can launch the torpedoes right now. And there we go, looks like we're swapping into widespreads. At this point, he's so bad health that, well, even a widespread like this, if we had launched both of them, and unfortunately we only had launched one, and the other one gets critted, so it's a bit awkward. We could have considered a damage control party there, just to get it off, but the important thing is we're forcing him to full turn away, so he only has his rear turrets to engage us. Obviously his rear turrets are still rather dangerous. And there we go, we do in fact get one torpedo hit on him, which is really, really good. The thing would be to just hard turn starboard while he wants to turn, because if he wants to... Well, basically it's a question of whether he wants to hard starboard to be able to re-engage gun turrets, or if he wants to hard port to be able to get away from us. So at this point, if he wants to hard port just and re-swivel guns, could be some trouble. Anyways, the reason we're launching... Well, I mean, the first set... To be honest, the first spread I would have launched with narrow spreads, but at this point we just need to hit him with one torpedo and he's going to die, because we've got a fire on him. It's going to take low enough. The reason we're launching widespreads at him, and I want to try to spread them out a little bit more, but the reason widespreads are good is because of the fact that you give the just additional bit of angle you need to get the torpedo off, and there we go, we can actually get the kill on that. So I think the first salvo definitely should have been launched in narrow. We potentially could have done a lot more damage to him. The second salvo in wide was perfectly fine though. Now I would honestly have ceased firing here. Actually no, Yamato's not aiming at us, so it's perfectly fine. So we should be able to potentially pick up the kill on this guy. You want to aim for the upper side belt, which it's 32mm of armor, or shoot the bow or stern areas, but just the upper belt is good enough. Another option obviously would just be to load it to AP and finish him off like that. Because a very good AP salvo here could actually just upfront kill him, but then again, spamming HE at the superstructure at 32 upper, which is pretty much exactly where we're aiming, is also a viable solution. And the target Yamato is on the reverse, so we need to aim a little bit more backwards, and there we go, realizing to do so to make sure we continue hitting his 32mm of armor area. Looks like the Yamato is finding an interest in us and is also healing, so we do need to be careful. The Moin Z52 could potentially keep us spotted despite the fact that the island is still there. And there we go, Yama incoming shells, but thankfully his aim was potato, so we don't actually die. And he goes down himself. Z52 is on reasonably high amounts of health, but I definitely would consider shooting at him. Our Des Moines is really low HP. Let's have a look at our Yamato, and we get the high caliber reward. Our Yama is healthy enough, so we could potentially still get something out of this game. Looks like the Des Moines is interested in pushing us, and we need to be careful though, because in a push, the Des Moines' superior DPM just upfront beats us. Looks like we're taking a risk to load into AP, because the Des Moines probably doesn't want to stay broadside to the Yamato, so definitely not a bad choice of ammunition here. There we go, AP against his broadside when he's turning, definitely time to use the heal. Only one Citadel, 4 full pens though, but firing early like that does mean that we can potentially get another AP salvo off if he wanted to maintain his hard turn. Aiming for his magazine areas, which is good, but we need to get further ahead and get some cover behind the island. But there we go, good damage against the Des Moines, 3 Citadels against them. Looks like he's loading AP in the anticipation that we're going to turn, so we're going to shoot at his main gun turrets. Not a bad decision, we're just hoping that the Yamato can wipe him out. And there we go, he does go down. With a hydroacoustic surge, it's going to be difficult for the Z52 to rush us, but it doesn't really appear that he wants to do so at the moment. But our Des Moines needs to try to liberate the shimmy, and we need to try to get rid of the enemy Z52. We're definitely in a position where we could win this, swapping back into high explosives ammo. Good thing to use against destroyers. At this point, we have gotten pretty lucky to not get killed by the Montana. He didn't know how to shoot us. He shot into, well, a lot of the shells into our belt, so he didn't actually get a lot of penetration damage against us. But at this point, with 6.7k health left, we're going to die to any given torpedo that impacts our ship. Even the Z52 torpedoes, which only do 14,400 damage per hit, they do have a 90-second slot reload time, so you can spam a lot of them at us. So we're never really eventually we're going to take one of them, right? So with 40 seconds left on our heal and 15 seconds effective hydro distance left until we'd be surface spotting torpedoes with our own ship, means that we're going to be having about a 20-something second time where we're vulnerable to dying to torpedo before we get our next heal up. Now, so thinking about cooldown management, this could potentially be a game-saving deal, but at this point we have no option but to just hard push into alpha. And the Z52 is never really going to let us just get away out of the blue. He's going to be focusing us if he's got any kind of sense whatsoever. Only now do we get spotted. He was shooting over the island in front of us at the Yamato. But, well, we're actually able to get a heal up now, so if torpedoes don't show up within the next 5 seconds, I think we should be able to survive. Because, we do have a pretty good torpedo bulge, and, at this point, once we get to about 11,000 health, we should be safe from a Z52 torpedo. It shouldn't be able to upfront kill us anymore, and there we go. We should now be completely safe. At least from one torpedo, but the problem here is we don't actually know what Z52 is without RPF. We really wouldn't be able to figure out. And at this point, well, the Des Moines doesn't need to actually deal with the shimmy, and the shimmy's got a lot of health left, so he's not really going to be able to kill that in one go, unless a Yamato's actually able to engage turrets to fire. Now we need to remember that when it comes to priority target and whatnot, if you're not being aimed at, then it means that he's in torpedo mode. And if he's in torpedo mode, in this case, he's actually dangerous. I actually forgot if we actually had the priority target skill or not. Looks like we're trying to just shuffle a lane, shuffle our lane a little bit. We do need A though, that is absolutely correct. Somehow we need to get into that cap without dying to torpedoes. And there we go, there you go. That right there is an indication that he has just launched torpedoes. He's launched torpedoes, so we need to change our angle and we need to make an anticipation of where he is. The problem here is if the Z52 was smart and headed up in this kind of direction, we are now basically blocking torpedoes in the path of Yamato and us. And those torpedoes are going to be arrived. We're going to be spotting those torpedoes in 10-15 seconds. So, and there we go. Like I thought, hard in turn, we can actually take one and live. And we do instant damage control party. However, we're low enough HP that we can just be shot to death at the moment. Using the Hydra there, I don't think is really worth much, but at this point we're out of heals and we're so incredibly low HP. If the Z52 shoots and kills us, the game is over. So that is a little bit unfortunate, but just information like that is incredibly useful to know. We would have known that he had launched torpedoes, but at this point, we can reach the cap, but the Zed's just going to shoot us to death. And if we die, the game's over. So if the Zed was smart, he would have finished the game right there and just killed us, unless he's incredibly low HP and we could actually have been able to trade him down. But at this point, there we go. Do not fire guns, do not fire guns, do not fire guns. Nobody is able to spot us. He's just shot at us. Do not. Actually, at this point, we can safely engage him, and he actually completely misses. Didn't set us on fire, which was a real spot of luck. He's trying to reset us, but that's not a really big deal. The Yamato can just hard push him down. The problem here is, well, again, if the Zed had been smart, had AP loaded, he would have just killed us. So that was definitely a spot of luck. Yamato fired, and he's going to stay spotted. And we're far enough away that we can actually safely shoot at him without getting ourselves spotted at this moment. However, everyone is so low HP, and the Shimi is likely just going to be trying to push C at the moment, so we do need to get a kill. And there we go. Actually, very useful thing that he did decide to leave the smoke screen, although in this case, he's not actually... Nope, we do sail out of the cap, but we're so low HP that it really is a major problem. The one is trying to engage. I would, at this point, try to get ourselves moving again and just finger on the R button and mash it. But in a couple of seconds, we're going to be able to get ourselves concealed, and right about now, he's got a couple of more salvos airborne, and, well, there we go. The Shimi is, in fact, in Charlie, exactly as we anticipated. This Z52 does need to get Yamato off the face of the earth right now, otherwise this game is, in fact, screwed, regardless of the points, because in 2 ticks, 1 tick, they're going to win, and there you go. 1,000 points. Unfortunately, we couldn't kill the Z on time. Unfortunately, Des Moines got baited into leaving Charlie. The Shimi was never going to loop back around again. He was always going to go for the Charlie cap because we had no option but to head for their Alpha cap. We made it barely on time, but it just wasn't good enough. Overall, I think this was not a badly handled game at all. We did definitely get some good situations, well, some really lucky situations as well, but we managed to pick up the enemies out without losing too much HP. Him shooting AP at us definitely did help a lot. That was a door, don't worry, just the wind. But with the Montana, we definitely got ridiculously lucky that he didn't know how to shoot us. Otherwise, he could have wiped us off the face of the earth. I do believe that the first torpedo salvo could have been aimed with a proper narrow spread. But then again, if he's going to turn away, chances are a narrow spread wouldn't really be able to hit him properly with the torpedo angles. So launching widespread there isn't just because you want to launch wide spreads. It's about getting the torpedo angle. Definitely a very good decision there. With the Yamato, personally, I definitely do think that in hindsight, the decision to get rid of him was good. Getting rid of the battleships means that, well, our fleet's battleship could actually, free himself up and move up. Unfortunately, though, in the end, with them still having destroyers alive and us not having destroyers left for ourselves to hunt, meant that the enemy team could just torpedo us and just control the cap and win on points. Unfortunately, Des Moines wouldn't have been able to do much against the Shimi. And the Des Moines did get baited into heading towards Alpha. I definitely think that was a bit of a misplay from the Des Moines. In that kind of a situation, it's kind of logical for the Shimi to go for Charlie. Of course, if the Shimi sees you going for Charlie to defend, he's just going to go back into the your base cap. So the Shimi, being a much faster ship, does have a much better ability to just control what the Des Moines does. And if the Des Moines doesn't have RPF or doesn't know where the Shimi is going to be like torpedoing from, it's a bit awkward because chances are he's just going to be able to outrun the Des Moines and then go for the cap, but the Des Moines isn't that. So in the end, it really would have been a difficult game to win, even if it, did get into the gap. If it did kill the Z52, perhaps we could have made it back to deal with the Shimi, but the Shimi still had a fair chunk of health, and he could have just shot us to death with the 500 odd health we had left ourselves. And the Des Moines was also rather low HP, so any torpedo hit against us would have also just instantly ended the game. And with the Shimi obtaining the cap, if you were not able to reset him, then chances are we'd never been able to turn ourselves around again to actually get to the capture point on time to lock down the income, due to the fact that, well, it might be 100 points differential. It's still minus 40 and plus 60 points for the team, so you only lose 40 points on the ticker. So you go from 996 down to 900, and it was 996, right? Yeah, it was. So it would go down to 956. So you'd still only need not 46 44 points to actually reach the 1,000 point marker and end the game. And with the rate at which these capture points tick the victory points, you would never been able to make it back on time unless you've been able to keep this out, keep the shimmy reset long enough to actually get your ship back down there to lock the cap. So with that, 3 citadels against the Des Moines, 3 floodings, and 3 torpedoes against the Montana. 173,557 damage with Dreadnought and High Caliber. We did get quite lucky that the Z didn't actually manage to superstructure us down, but at that point it no longer really would have mattered. If we tried to dodge, fully dodge the torpedoes from the Z, we pretty much just had to take the risk that we were going to get torpedoed and the Z was flanking around us. Otherwise, we would have lost on the cap points. So no real chance there. You just have to rush towards the cap. So let's see, 153 shell hits, 2 kills, 10 fires, and 3 target hits. We were using range upgrade, which in this situation didn't really do anything that great for us. We could have had potentially better DPM or better ability to kill off the Zhao or the Montana with reload, but then again, for the most part, using range upgrade on a Zhao is pretty standard. So, having a look at the team scores, we can see we were on the top score. It's a ranked game in the 5 to 10 bracket, so you're going to be seeing a lot of awkward plays like this, and this, all dying at the start. I think it was this gearing that committed suicide on the Charlie Cap against the enemy's Des Moines, and the gearing Z group, which was just interesting, I suppose. Not really the world's best decision making from his point of view there. So our destroyers basically all end up getting themselves killed for absolutely no gain whatsoever against the enemy team. So that was pretty poorly handled by them. If we had just one destroyer left in the end stage, we could have potentially suppressed the shimmy together with the Des Moines, or at least traded gearing for shimmy, and that would still have been in a winning position for us. Because, with us and the our Zhao and the Yamato, we could at least push out the Z. The Yamato definitely is in a position just to face roll down the Z-52 and to basically just keep him out of the game, because the Yamato does have a really, really good torpedo bolt at 55% and a large amount of health left at the end stages there to actually be able to do something with it. But yes, in the waiting stages of the ranked season, at this point, it's unlikely you're really going to be able to reach rank 1, even though I know you're not really trying for it, but just overall saying. Definitely think this was a quite well-handled game, some good instances of baiting AP shells from the Zhao. The Zhao didn't really know what he was supposed to do about it. Along with the widespread angles for torpedoes against the battleships, we really just needed a couple of hits and HE combined damage to get rid of him, and that definitely did happen. Although again, like I said, lucky that these guys didn't really know how to aim and, know how to lolpen us, otherwise they would have just killed us up front. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do try to post replay analysis videos like this one on a regular basis, where you guys can send in your replays and I go over them with my vast experience in this game, both competitive and in randoms, to cover the things that I believe you did well, things you did bad, and things that could be improved on or done differently. Remember, there are many roads to Rome, so, in the end, your decision, your impressions may not be the same as that of mine. If you would have done something differently, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!